Now, there was something else I saw. This was from Deadspin. The title of this article is... Oh, fuck, man. This is so bad. Let's pick apart this list of the NBA's 22 best point guards. Okay, so this is a reaction to a ranking by HoopsHype.com where they ranked the top 22 point guards in the NBA. So I am reacting to a reaction of a ranking. It's the top 22 point guards to represent the upcoming season. Before we dive in, there are a couple of notable names not on this list. Jamal Murray was left off the list, so that's understandable because of his injury. I totally fucked that up. Jamal Murray was left off the list because of his torn ACL, which both Deadspin and I understand is okay. The second glaring omission from this list is Luka Doncic. Not only is he not included in this list, but his name doesn't even appear on the page once. No explanation on why he isn't on the list or anything. If you're calling him a small forward, okay, but he is the point guard in Dallas. See, this is why I have a simultaneous just love and disdain for positional rankings in the modern NBA, because the modern NBA is so positional. It's impossible to rank because there are only like a handful of actual guys who play exclusively one position, as we will see in this list going forward. Look at Kevin Durant. Look at James Harden, who also isn't on this list. Kevin Durant plays multiple positions. Kevin Durant plays multiple positions and has different tendencies at each position. James Harden plays multiple positions and has different tendencies at each position. The same is said for Giannis. The same case can be made for LeBron. The same can be made for Kawhi. Do you see how fucking impossible it is? Even someone like Draymond Green, who can play 3 different positions, cannot be tied into any one actual ranking because he belongs in 3. He belongs in 3 different rankings, and he splits his time among 3 different positions. It's just increasingly hard. So as my voice begins to wear off, we're starting off with the elite. We got Steph, Dame, Kyrie at 1, 2, and 3 respectively. This, of course, is... I do not see anybody in the NBA challenging these 3 guys as the 3 best at their position. For one, they're very... Well, I don't even... See, this is also where it gets kind of weird because these guys are... They play like undersized shooting guards, where their first inclination is to score. Although they average 5, 6, 7, sometimes near 8 assists, they are getting the ball wanting to get buckets. They play like shooting guards, but they're also so exceptionally skilled all around that their natural position is point guard, but I feel their tendencies lean towards shooting guard. Regardless, these guys are very clearly the best at the point guard position, regardless of whether you want to classify them as shooting guard or point guard. Although people don't really look at these guys as shooting guards, as actual shooting guards, again, mainly because of the size. But this is where the list gets controversial, and I'm saying this because that's what is said in the actual article. It says verbatim, number 4 is where the list begins to get a little controversial. For some it may be, for some it may not be, but I must question it. We have Trae Young and Chris Paul at number 4 and number 5. Yeah, okay. This is fine. This author is also bringing up how Young's high ranking on this list must be partly due to his playoff run. That's fucking wrong, dude. Let's go to what Trae Young did in the regular season. Okay, I'm on basketballreference.com. I'm looking at Trae Young. This guy averaged, are you ready for this? 25.3 points and 9.4 assists during the regular season while shooting less than 35% from 3. He could have averaged more points if he had replicated his efficiency from the year before. What did Trae Young do in the postseason? Okay, so he averaged about 29 points and 9.5 assists. That's great, dude. But no, Trae Young is put above Chris Paul on this list because he outplayed Chris Paul throughout the regular season. Statistically, he was better than Chris Paul, at least offensively. Now, the intangibles that Chris Paul brings to the table are a different conversation. Chris Paul, of course, embodies the traditional point guard position better than anyone else on this list. I don't care who it is. Chris Paul is the best true point guard on this list, but he has managed to age pretty well by changing his tendencies a little bit. Now, Chris Paul has always had the ability to be the number one guy because he was, when he was with the Pelicans, he was a guy who go out and get 20, 22 points a night because he needed to, but he was still a walking double-double at that point. But I'm still hung up on the fact that this paragraph says another player who had a great playoff run and played a huge part in his team advancing is Reggie Jackson of the Los Angeles Clippers. When Kawhi Leonard went down in the second round against the Jazz, Jackson stepped up big, and without him, the Clippers don't get past the Jazz. It's those games where Paul George couldn't hit the shot from a boat or couldn't hit the ocean from a boat. Jackson stepped up and carried the scoring load in those moments. That's awesome, dude. Really, that's fucking great. But you're going to just blatantly ignore the fact that Trae Young nearly tripled Reggie Jackson's production in the regular season. Reggie Jackson barely averaged 10 points a night. 10.7. He averaged 3.1 assists. Trae Young tripled Reggie Jackson's production. He nearly doubled Reggie Jackson. Well, not nearly doubled. He 1.5 times Reggie Jackson's production in the postseason. Jackson averaged 18 points and 3 assists. This is simply just like this is anti-Trae Young propaganda. That's what this is, man. This is Trae Young. This is dude, I can't even fucking believe what I'm reading. This is anti-Trae Young agitative propaganda. You're watching Reggie Jackson put up a bunch of points against the Utah Jazz. And don't get me wrong, dude, Reggie Jackson was fantastic in the playoffs. But you're also just totally looking past the fact that Trae Young brought the Atlanta Hawks to an Eastern Conference semifinal. He beat the Philadelphia 76ers, the number 1 overall seed in the Eastern Conference. He beat the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And let's take a look at his numbers for that series. Okay, he shot less than 40% from the field, but he averaged 29 points and 11 assists. What the, like, are you okay? Are you, author of this article, Chris, are you okay? Why are you putting Reggie Jackson anywhere near Trae Young? Dude, don't get me wrong, Reggie Jackson does not belong on this list. He does not belong in a paragraph talking about Trae Young because Trae Young is literally playing 4-dimensional chess while Reggie Jackson is playing with Hot Wheels. They're not playing the same game. Trae Young is worlds ahead of Reggie Jackson, and he deserves to be at number 4 on this list. I'm so fucking amazed by this. Chris Paul at number 5 is okay. I'm not upset with this at all. I think that Trae Young and Chris Paul deserve to be at number 4 and number 5. Fucking shoot me. The middle of the road, we got John Morant, Drew Holiday, De'Aaron Fox, Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, LaMelo Ball, and Mike Conley. That is 6 through 12. And then the falling back, we got Fred VanVleet, Malcolm Brogdon, Lonzo Ball. Dropping off Kyle Lowry, D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie. Pulling up the rear, Kemba Walker, Terry Rozier, Derrick Rose, DeJounte Murray. I'm not even going to entertain these rankings really beyond number 12 because these guys aren't really shaking up the league like that. All of these guys, for the most part, are either complementary players on good teams or the best player on a bad team. And that's not to shit on their talent because you have a lot of talented players on this list. I mean, this group right here, 13 through 15, Fred VanVleet, Malcolm Brogdon, and Lonzo Ball, are all starting caliber point guards, but they're not the best players on their team. And I don't think at any point in their careers will they be the best players on their teams. So I really just want to, I don't even know if I want to dissect like this little part right here, 6 through 12. Ja, Drew, Fox, Ben Simmons, Westbrook. Like, I think that Ja Morant is the best player in this group by a hair. Literally a hair. And that's only because Jrue Holiday is playing less of a role offensively in Milwaukee. I think in terms of talent, Jrue Holiday should be ahead of Ja Morant. He's as good of a playmaker as Ja is. Reliable enough scorer, but he is probably the best defensive point guard on this list. It's either him or Ben Simmons. I think that deserves a little bit of a higher placement. But other than that, like, I'm just still fucking hung up on this person mentioning Reggie Jackson, and then like, hold on, how many times did they mention Reggie Jackson? They mentioned Reggie Jackson, dude. So wait a minute, Lonzo Ball made the list, and Reggie Jackson couldn't make it at all. I can't get with that. Lonzo had a solid year, but it didn't contribute to winning much of anything in New Orleans. Even if you just take Jackson's playoff run, that's enough for me to rank him over Lonzo. So you're going to rank Reggie Jackson over D'Angelo Russell, DeJounte Murray, who I feel is a better player than Reggie Jackson. Even Scary Terry put up better numbers than Reggie Jackson. I don't understand. Like, is Reggie Jackson, is this like his journalist burner account or something? Lonzo Ball, how are you not seeing that Lonzo Ball is a superior player to Reggie Jackson? Lonzo Ball, who is not a scorer, averaged more points than Reggie Jackson did this past season. And I think he fucking shot better from the field than he did too. Reggie Jackson averaged all round up to 11 points in 23 minutes. Lonzo Ball averaged 14 and a half in 31. Now, obviously, the minutes disparity is a thing, but do you see why Lonzo Ball would play more minutes than Reggie Jackson? 14 and a half points, almost 5 rebounds, a little bit less than 6 assists, shot 38% from 3. Dude, Reggie Jackson does not deserve to be on this list, my guy. I know you're trying, but yeah, Lonzo Ball made the list because he is a better player than Reggie Jackson. As a matter of fact, every player on this list is a better player than Reggie Jackson. And I'm not trying to shit on Reggie Jackson, because I think, obviously, in the right system, he can be a fine player. He established that in the postseason. But his contributions in the regular season did not contribute much to the Clippers winning. It was mostly Kawhi and it was mostly Paul George. Sorry, that's just how it is when you have 2 stars on your team. In the postseason, it's a different story. But I'm not so sure that this list is going off of what these players did for their teams in the playoffs. I think it's going off of their individual talent. I think that this is just off base, dude. I'm really happy I did check this out because I got a fucking great clip. I got a great piece of content off of fucking defending Trae Young, because that's just ridiculous, dude. I'm sorry, that was such bullshit to just try to shoehorn Reggie Jackson and try to fucking make the case. I have to bookmark this so I can put it in the video. I have to. This is fucking amazing. Dude, I can't believe that this person tried to shoehorn Reggie Jackson in like that and thought nobody would notice. God, I love everything. I love everything about the internet. Oh, fuck, dude. I think I gotta go after that. I'm not sure I can continue. I'm incapacitated after that.